If you're like me, you have, at some point or another, liked to play Animal Crossing. Maybe it was during the pandemic, when we were all tucked away inside, huddled around the brightness of our screens to find comfort and distraction from the uncertainty outdoors. Or maybe it was during a simpler time in childhood, as you added another prized addition to your game collection and daydreamed about living with animals as neighbors. But regardless of the way that Animal Crossing worked its way into your life, you enjoyed it. For whatever reason, it brought you something valuable that kept you coming back for just one more day, one more fish, one more bug to submit to your town's museum. However, one day, that same little cozy town that once kept you company didn't feel so fun anymore. Your tools started to get dusty, your house began filling with roaches, and your animal neighbors stopped waiting for you to come by and say hello. The once loved routine was altered, and it feels like you can't quite get that spark back. The drive to play is gone, and all you're left with is frustration and a whole lot of grief. Believe me, you're not alone. More than ever before, Animal Crossing players are expressing their struggles with burnout and lack of playtime, and I believe there's a good reason for it. In this rambly little discussion, I'll be exploring my thoughts on why a great deal of us are feeling less and less entranced by Animal Crossing, and more disappointed in admitting to it. A pursuit of why our satisfaction in the game is so difficult to achieve and why it upsets us so much. Over the weekend, I had the chance to watch Burning, a 2018 South Korean psychological thriller film co-written, produced, and directed by Chang Dong-lee. The story finds main character Jung-soo, an aspiring and unemployed writer, reconnecting with a childhood friend, Hae-mi, and growing increasingly attached and involved with her. When she leaves and returns from a trip to Africa, Jung-soo is surprised to find that she's brought a new friend along with her. Ben, an almost Gatsby-like, mysterious, and wealthy man who begins spending all of his time with her. Because a lot of the beauty and intrigue of this film is found in watching it with as little background knowledge as possible, I'll keep further context vague. But please, if you're interested, consider giving it a watch. It's something that'll keep you thinking for days and days to come. The reason why I bring this film up so suddenly, and perhaps confusingly in this discussion about Animal Crossing, has to do with the character Hae-mi's introduction of an especially interesting concept: little hunger and great hunger. Hae-mi says, "Do you know the Bushmen who live in the Kalahari Desert? They have two types of starving people. Starving people, hunger in English, little hunger and great hunger. Little hunger is a person who is literally hungry. Great hunger is a person who is hungry for the meaning of life. Someone wishing to know why we live, what meaning there is to life, that sort of thing. They are truly hungry people, so they are called great hunger." This concept, albeit simple, has an almost endless list of implications, not only for the content of the film itself, but also for real life too. The more I thought about little hunger and great hunger, the more I started seeing parallels to my own life on a macro and micro scale. Everything from my own grandiose introspective convictions and impressions of existence to the most minute of daily tasks and hobbies, one of such being, as you guessed, Animal Crossing. Although they diverge greatly in the details, all games in the series follow roughly the same formula. Move to a small town or island, befriend the local community, catalog the wildlife, and expand and beautify your environment while repaying the funds loaned to you in the process. While New Horizons in particular might appear to be much more than that, thanks to the expansive additions to design gameplay in particular, at the end of the day, it's not much different from its original 2001 counterpart. The beginning is always the most enjoyable part, right? Getting to a new place, getting the lay of the land, and slowly building up from nearly nothing to create everything. In the beginning, we as players experience a little hunger. Although our stomachs are not rumbling for food in the traditional sense, we are without even the most basic of needs: shelter, resources, personal connections, and even knowledge. We are driven by the very basic desire to build, gather, connect, and understand, and we are constantly satiated, or made full, by the acquisition of those things. Because we have little hunger and yearn for these basic tasks to be fulfilled, it feels amazing to be fed with task completion and pushed forward. We identify a problem, seek it out, solve it, and experience near constant gratification because we know that this cycle brings us progress, success, and access to additional solvable problems. It's like a dopamine feeding machine. The more hunger we feel, the more we are fed. We have a purpose, and that purpose is readily found in new incentives, challenges, and gameplay mechanics such as the growing debt from Tom Nook, new villagers to befriend, and a house, or even an entire island, to endlessly expand and decorate. We never have to ask, what now? Why? Or how do I do it? The game more or less tells you what to do next, at least vaguely, and urges you to do so in order to continue progressing. Your little hunger is always satiated with more content, and you're encouraged to continue playing the game. Thus, the core dilemma arises when our drip feed of solvable problems runs dry. When the game says, just do what you'd like, and leaves you out at sea with a plethora of paddles, but no real destination or even inspiration to explore the horizon. Suddenly, our little hunger turns into an overwhelming great hunger. With nothing to quote-unquote lack and nothing to achieve, we're starving for something much grander and more illusory. A purpose. The game world that once gave us a tidy little list of to-dos with plenty of advice and encouragement suddenly shrugs its shoulders and says, just do what you'd like, presenting a new invisible to-do that is far more daunting than any before, to answer the ultimate questions. Why are you here playing this game? What is your purpose? Your meaning? Does the game have meaning without objectives? Is meaning inherently objective-oriented? Is there meaning to be found in a seemingly meaningless task? Is meaning created, or does it exist for us to seek it out and find it? What came first, the act or the meaning? Yes, we are still talking about Animal Crossing, and yes, I actually do think that the issue of great hunger has a whole lot to do with the reason why players are experiencing burnout at such a breakneck speed. Animal Crossing has always left meaning in the hands of the player. It just wasn't as obvious until now. It isn't 2001 anymore. I'm not just a kid playing on their GameCube to pass the time and live out my fantasies of a cozy, autonomous life away from home. I, and many others, are now adults. We have real-life objectives, obligations, and challenges that cannot be achieved through looking up a game guide or scrolling through a Reddit forum. This is why the beginning of Animal Crossing and other more linear games are so cathartic to play. There's an open and obvious problem or task, and a clear-cut set of instructions, or at least a substantial outline about how to solve it. We can live out our own in-game fantasies of hard work for guaranteed triumph while living in a real-life landscape of anything but. A plus B will always equal C, and it really feels good to know that. So when Animal Crossing goes from providing that much-needed satiation of success, that emphasis of living with little hunger, to taking its hands off the wheel completely and turning to you for purpose, it feels jarring, foreign, and even frustrating. We have to seek and search in the dark in our own lives, so why should we have to do it in the game too? Great hunger is infinitely harder to satisfy, which is why it's so draining to deal with. But the satisfaction of great hunger, even in small doses, is also infinitely more fulfilling than that of little hunger. Although the beginning of the game might offer you a clear-cut list of objectives to achieve, it also gives you a clear-cut list of outcomes to receive as a result. Regardless of the way that you get to a 5-star island rating, for example, you're always going to get the lily of the valley growing as a consequence. Although the form of your action might vary, the function of the outcome will always work the same. Satisfying your little hunger will only ever feel like the proverbial filling of the stomach. Satisfying great hunger, on the other hand, and working to create your own objectives, projects, and meaning has an unlimited scope of outcomes. You are the captain of your own in-game life's satisfaction, joy, and meaning, no longer at the mercy of the little raccoon waiting for his paws to be greased with bells for self-esteem and worth. It is significantly more difficult, as evidenced by the burnout trend of players, but it is ironically also significantly more satisfying. The Animal Crossing content on my channel is one of the ways that I have sought to satisfy my own great hunger. As a lifelong lover of the series, I myself have grappled time and time again with burnout, particularly with the newest installment, Animal Crossing New Horizons. It was tempting for me to simply put the game down and forget about it once I had quote-unquote maxed out my house and achieved all of the preset objectives, and I will admit that I have done it a number of times and will likely do so again at some point in the future. But I can say with certainty that dedicating the time to facing my great hunger in the game and exploring my own understanding of my life's great hunger, my own personal search for meaning and purpose has been a rather intriguing exercise. If nothing has inherent meaning or purpose, then it is up to us to create significance for ourselves and build a life that is full of all the things that we seek, whether that's eating good food, keeping good company, or even just playing good video games. We don't have to wait for others to tell us what to do or how to feel when we do it. We can achieve true freedom and create anything and everything that we'd like. So, if you're burnt out of Animal Crossing, or anything really, it's okay. Great hunger can be difficult to bear sometimes, but once you've taken a rest and feel ready to fight again, consider logging back in and resuming the journey for meaning. It is a hard road to walk, but you never know. There might be some beautiful spots along the way.